Good morning. The Penderyn Prize, like all great things, started by accident. It was in the beer garden in Browns. Myself, John, who I did the festival with, and John Regana from Pendeyrn were having a pint, and John goes, "Oh, any future plans?" Then, I've always fancied doing a prize for the best music book of the year, because there isn't one. And John goes, "Well, Stephen from Pendeyrn is a huge music fan. I think we could sponsor it." And that's how it started. No great plans or anything like that. Just over a pint in Browns, we came up with this great idea. This, I think, is the 7th year, or it could be the 8th, John? 7th. There you go, see? Just turn round and it's there. 8th year, 7th prize, yes, that's it. All works out like that. And yeah, I mean, that's all I'm going to do now is hand it over to John from Pendeyrn, and eventually we'll get round to telling you who's won. John.
Yeah, 7th year, I think it's the 7th prize, and you know, Steve Penderyn, very big Elvis Costello fan, and yeah, so he went for it. It's been really good for us. It's very low level, but then we get articles in the Guardian, and the NME called it the Mercury Prize of Books, which isn't a bad thing. And I brought my colleague Mike here for a reason that will be revealed, and he's going to introduce the winner, or announce the winner, and I'm just going to get the bottle over there. So done. Okay. It's been a long weekend.
Where's the magic envelope, John? There. Oh, this is the one. Right. Okay, it's not going to become that clear why I'm along. But yeah, I am going to announce the winner in a second, and it's the reason I came here. I requested to come here because the winner wrote a book that I've read and loved very much. Or rather, I listened to on Audible. My girlfriend read it and told me I absolutely had to read it, and I resisted for a little while because it looked really long, and then I downloaded the Audible book, and I listened to it, and I'm very, very glad that I did. I'm very, very grateful to the writer that wrote this book, because it really, really was absolutely wonderful in every way. I'm not going to tell you too much about what's in it. If you've read it, you know how wonderful it is. If you haven't read it, then you absolutely should. But yeah, the winner of the Penderyn 2021 Music Book Prize is Peter Paphides for Broken Bridge. Congratulations.
Come over with it, guys. Okay.
Just talk amongst yourselves. Thank you.
Hey, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, this is a first, really, for me. Like a kind of stand-up comedian from the 70s, I'm going to remove this and say, I've got some. I've got some thank yous that I need to say. Thank you to the good folk of Penderyn, to Richard Thomas, to the judges who I'm slightly sort of boggled by the other nominees. Some of whom, you know, were sort of quite important to me throughout the years, partly covered by Broken Greek. I mean, just seeing Annie Nightingale on one there, you know, I used to listen to her show every night, and Jimmy Page, not so much actually, because I was 10 and people like Jimmy Page scared me when I was 10 years old. And also Katie Verlaine at Quercus, my editor at Quercus, who took me out for dinner about 18 or 19 years ago when I was still a Time Out columnist, and said, I think you'll write a book one day, and when you do, I'd like to be the first person you show it to. And at the time, I'd just become a dad, and I didn't even have time to read a book, let alone write one. And I said, well, thanks for lunch, but I think you might have wasted your money. So when I eventually sort of accidentally copied this book out, then she was always going to be the first person I showed it to, and she fought really hard to make sure that it came out at the length that it came out. So thank you very much. She's not here, but thank you very much, Katie. Now, I had a brief word with Mike earlier on, and I said, what happens after, they announced the winner, and then is there like some music or something? Does everyone sort of leave? And I said, well, yes. I said, okay, well, should I say something else, or is everyone just quite happy to leave? He said, no, you should probably sort of be on stage for about 10 minutes. So, so if you want to leave, that's fine. But I was thinking, okay, well, there are a couple of sort of things that, well, there's some unfinished business, first of all, because when I did my turn at the church earlier on, I promised I would tell the story about how Arnold Schwarzenegger threw me out of the hotel room where I was interviewing him in 2001, I think, and I never got around to telling it. So, as a sort of contrast against this career high, I thought I'd tell you about my lowest moment, which was when I was assigned for some terrible kind of clerical mix-up. I was sent to interview that well-known musician, Arnold Schwarzenegger, at the Dorchester Hotel in London, and he had a film out. He had a film out that was about cloning. It was about, he kind of came home one night and to his family and saw a kind of evil version of himself. But do anyone remember what that film is called?
Sounds like all of them.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing about interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger, it was at a time in my life where people still had answer phones, and I was being sent to interview quite a lot of famous people, so I thought I would exploit this opportunity by getting them to record funny outgoing answer phone messages. And the first one I ever asked was John Bon Jovi. I said, and he was very lovely, he was very professional. He said, he kind of made it sound like we were good mates here. Hey, it's Pete's friend John Bon Jovi here. He's not in right now, but you want to leave? Anyway, it went very well, so I got quite cocky. And when I interviewed the Bee Gees, because they were all alive at this point, which helped, frankly. I came up with a really good idea. I'm a huge Bee Gees fan, and one of their early hits, as many of you will know, is "Got to Get a Message to You." So I thought, I know what I'll do. Maybe if the interview goes well, I can get them to sing a version of "Got to Get a Message to You," but with key words changed so that it actually says, if you want to leave a message for Pete, hold on. Leave your name and number after the beep, hold on. Anyway, I mean, God knows why they didn't just eject me that day, but like the interview went quite well. I said, here's my idea. And I said, I've got to get a message. They said, oh yeah, that's quite a good idea. And then they immediately started rehearsing it in front of me. And I was so young and cocky that I said, no, I've changed the words. I want you to, if you want to leave a message for Pete, because I'm Pete, you see, so that would be really funny. And they looked at each other and said, yeah, okay. And they recorded this no-perfect version of "Got to Get a Message to You." And I'm just aghast. I'm just sort of, I cannot believe this is happening. If you've read my book, which is, actually I noticed there are like 5 times as many copies of my book as anyone else's. And I thought, well, that's a microcosm of my career, really, because my entire career is a triumph of availability over talent. So, thank you. And anyway, so they recorded this amazing, and for weeks afterwards, word kind of got around that the Bee Gees had recorded this personalised answer phone message for this guy. And so people we didn't know would ring our phone number, and you'd hear some giggling, sort of, the bit after, like, when you leave a message. Someone who's in an office somewhere in Braintree or something, who I've never met. So, yeah, no, apparently he's really extended. Yeah, no, because he's called Pete. Anyway, and so then, okay, well, this is going well. Who's the next person I'm going to ask to leave an answer phone message for me? And so, which brings us to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was very, very nervous, like I am now. And I was waiting outside. Every person who was interviewing Arnold that day had like an allotted time of, I think, about 20 minutes. And the person before me was Dominic Mohan, who was the showbiz columnist for The Sun, I think, at that time. And they seemed to be getting on very well. And there was like a bit afterwards where the Sun photographer came in, and kind of Dominic Mohan put his arm around Arnie, and they did a really nice kind of photograph. I think, he's probably quite a good-humoured guy. So if it goes well, my plan is, at the end of the interview, I'll say, which is indeed what happened, about 17 minutes into the interview, I would say, I said, Arnold, look, I've just got a funny, odd question to ask you, but whenever I interview someone who's really well known, I ask them if they'd be okay with recording an outgoing message from Alistair. And I've had a really good idea. Would you mind if you said, I'm sorry, Pete is not in right now, but he'll be back. And as soon as the word back came out of my mouth, this woman who I hadn't noticed, there was like a little kind of assistant who was in the room, hiding behind a sofa or something. If you've seen the Incredibles, do you remember Edna Mode in the Incredibles? It was like Edna Mode, like a real life Edna Mode, popped out behind a chair in the far end of the room, and just I honestly thought I was going to be arrested or something. I committed such a transgression. This really sort of hyper-caffeinated New York woman sort of like grabbed me by the shirt and said, that is, you have crossed the line, and I'm going to tell your employers what you just did. We don't do any endorsements, any answer phone messages, anything like that, unless it's cleared beforehand. And she frog-marched me out of the room, and Arnold is just sitting like impassive, like the Terminator. And I'm kind of ejected from the room. And suddenly, because obviously I'd gotten a bit of cocky because the Bee Gees had sung for me, I suddenly turned into a very angry Alan Partridge. And I said, what are you doing? I just asked for an answer. Mohan got his picture taken with her, and the Bee Gees sang for me. And it's the only time I've ever sort of like, this anger came, I don't even know where it sort of came from. And so that's probably my lowest professional moment. Anyway, so those are my career lows, which puts this wonderful career high in perspective. Thank you to everyone who had anything to do with giving me the sword, the Penderyn guys, Richard Thomas, all the people at Laugharne, which is just a magical weekend. I'm so privileged and grateful to have been invited here. And thank you very much. And if anyone wants me to ruin the value of their book by signing it afterwards, then I'd be very happy to do so. Thank you.